Thank you. Hello, I'm Gregory Sale, and I just want to acknowledge how honored I am to be here today among such talented artists and affecting projects. Let's start the video. I'm from Arizona, a political flashpoint for gun rights, incarceration, and immigration issues. Chain gangs, pink underwear, a tent city jail, mugshot competitions are commonplace. I'm going to talk about It's Not Just Black and White as ways to introduce my current research and new project, Sleepover. This project began with a collaboration with 14 inmates enrolled in the one very small rehabilitation re-entry program offered by our local sheriff's office. We created a museum installation featuring black and white striped walls that mimic the visual imagery of the standard issue inmate uniform. 3 striped walls became a defining backdrop for 3 months of programs. A 4th wall of the installation invited all who visited the gallery to write, draw, or record their thoughts about what needed to change in the current system. The project explored and exposed the many conflicting viewpoints, perspectives, and values that emerge from thoughtful considerations of justice and public safety. And we're going to hear some sounds from that first day. Establishing a virtual connection between jail and the museum helped frame the project on aesthetic and emotional levels. Choreographer Elizabeth Johnson and I conceptualized the mother-daughter distance dance. Daughters performed at the museum for and with their incarcerated mothers while their mothers danced at jail. This idea of mothers and daughters dancing together but apart suggests a core issue I'm exploring in my projects, and that's the real and too little considered impact of our incarceration system on all of us as individuals and as a community.
I love you. Can you not see us? We're dancing.
To infuse the project with direct experience, Curator John Spiak and I offered tours of Tent City Jail every 2 weeks for 3 months. Just as we had brought people, guns, and mechanisms of incarceration into the museum, we physically transported the museum visitor to jail. These artistic gestures and direct experiences provided a framework for a 52-event program. There were 37 institutional partners and close to 20,000 visitors. We created something akin to a demilitarized zone. The museum served as a site for civic dialogue in a community that has almost none. Here's an exchange I had with Sheriff Joe
You
Arpaio.
mentioned the chain gang.
Right.
Well, I have to admit that everybody says I revisited the chain gang. Not here, we never had. But there is one chain gang I'm very proud of. So we have the only female chain gang in history.
Well, let me tell you, that's actually one of the places this project began. I was walking to City Hall in Phoenix one day about 6 years ago, and there was a chain gang of women repainting that red curve, that no parking curve around City Hall. And they had the officer with them with his shotgun, and he had his legs spread, and it was like, you know, where it's supposed to be in a good 1940s movie. And the women were repainting, and I thought, wow, that's an image for the media. Also participating in that dialogue were the chief probation officer, the deputy director of the public defender's office, a former convict and director of a coalition of re-entry organizations, a victim's mother, a police officer, and a journalist scholar. As a philosophical counterbalance to Sheriff Joe, I worked with the Humanities Project to co-host activist scholar Angela Davis. She posited that the very future of democracy depends on our ability to develop radical practices to create a world beyond the prison industrial complex. Nearing the end of the project, the Arizona Department of Juvenile Corrections granted temporary escorted furloughs for 15 incarcerated youth. For a full day, once a week, for 3 weeks, these juvies attended university classes and programs across campus, interacting with students and faculty. On their last visit, we worked together to archive and then tear down that fourth wall, that wall about change. To close the project, 5 of the collaborators who helped paint those original stripes returned as free men to paint out that emblematic image. As my relationships with these men continue today, I witness families and communities hard-pressed to welcome them home. The daunting task of finding work, a pervasive lack of trust, their shame in my inability to assist. And these experiences have sparked my creative capital project. Sleepover grapples with the complex issues of mass de-incarceration. Sleepover will convene a group of former convicts, crime victims, criminal justice workers, faith-based service providers, politicians, and others. This core group will work together over an extended time period to reconsider their understandings of reentry and their relationships to one another. We will co-create a series of discussions and engagement activities in shared intimate spaces, including overnight stays together. Some of these events will open to the public and media. Because these relationships take years to develop, I'm looking for long-term commitments from cultural institutions and social agencies. And I'm also looking for a few running buddies. I need a criminal justice scholar, a philosopher, and a community organizer to help me build the elements of a dynamic and sustainable safe zone. Recently, a felon described to me how he felt emotionally stripped bare in prison and that he had covered it up to survive. And he covered it up to survive. Now out, he confronts it daily. A conversation with a victim's advocate was differently haunting. It's surprising to me who's hungry to be involved, to share knowledge that's not known or available, to listen, to be vulnerable, and to be in conflict together. Thank you.